Our next presenter is Star Diamond Corporation, and presenting on behalf of the company is George Reed, a Senior Technical Advisor to the company. George, over to you.
Thank you very much to Red Cloud for this opportunity to present our company. Star Diamond Corporation is advancing the world's largest and most attractive diamond development project in the Fort Hiller Corn Forest in central Saskatchewan. Safe harbor statement you can read at your leisure. We'll get into the nuts and bolts of the presentation. This presentation is available to you in your package with Red Cloud. It's also available as our corporate presentation on the company website. I will go quite quickly through the presentation, so if there's anything you'll need to refresh, go back, take a look. If there are any questions, they can be fed back to us through our office in Saskatoon. We have a very large, long life mine, 66 million carats defined over a 38-year mine life, outstanding geology, large contiguous diamond-bearing kimbolites with very attractive diamonds. Attractive economics, an NPV of $2.0 billion at an IRR of 19%, a base case with a 3.4-year payback. Low risk jurisdiction. Saskatchewan is very highly rated by the Fraser Institute. We are near existing power and transportation infrastructure, certainly a very accessible project. The project is fully permitted. It is past the environmental impact assessment process by both the federal and provincial governments, which places us in a unique position. We trade on the TSX. Our shares outstanding are listed there, and Newmont Corporation, who was a joint venture partner in the past under Pierre Lassonde's leadership, now is the largest single shareholder. If we move on to slide number 4, when we come to diamond deposits, we have to be very mindful of the fact that that we focus on tons, in obviously metric tons, grade in carats per 100 tons, and diamond price in dollars per carat. Obviously, the diamond price is unique for each kimberlite phase that erupts those diamonds from the mantle. Star and Orion South kimberlites, the two kimberlites that have been extensively evaluated, have significant carats combined with a very high diamond price. Diamond size frequency is unique for each kimberlite being sampled. Diamonds are naturally normally distributed, which means that there are exponentially more little ones than big ones. But there are a handful of deposits worldwide where there is an unusual abundance of very much larger stones. Among those kimberlites are Letseng in the Mountain Kingdom of Lesotho in Southern Africa, and Karowe, mined by Lucara Diamonds in Botswana. Both of those kimberlites have produced diamonds that are enormous, 950 carats from Arapa and 1,700 carats from Karowe. And you will note that in terms of our evaluation size frequency distribution, we lie as the red line between the green for Letseng, the blue for Karowe on that size frequency diagram. With this combination of tons, grade, carats, and price, you can mix and match different values for those components and come up with an economic deposit. So while some deposits such as Letseng have very low grades, in other words, 1.75 carats per 100 tons, they don't have that many carats. They have a very high diamond price, which then makes it economic. In contrast, Ekati and Diavik have very high grades, lower prices, but certainly are still very economic propositions. So we must bear that in mind. Star has a unique diamond population, as well as Orion South, producing some very large stones that we anticipate in a future mine. A lot of work has been done by Star Diamond Corporation, which was originally called Shaw Gold Inc. Commencing in 1995, we conducted a significant bulk sampling and evaluation exercise between 2003 and 2009. Some 200 carats of diamonds were sent for cutting and polishing. And that was a very successful exercise that showed that there was no surprises in the diamond population. A number of technical reports have been produced between 2009 and 14, Memorandum of Understanding with First Nations and Métis groups, completed a revised mineral resource in 2015, and based on that, we were able to conduct a preliminary economic assessment in 2018. So based on the preliminary economic assessment, environmental approvals were obtained with the federal approval, the provincial approval coming in October 2018. The federal approval had been received some years before that. Rio Tinto in the interim had signed an option agreement with us to conduct some evaluation drilling to confirm our grades on the deposit. They have elected to use a trench cutter, which can cut a very big hole to extract a huge amount of kimberlite from which grade determination can be measured. They also established a brand new bulk sampling plant using a very modern flow sheet on site. And in August last year, the first trench cutter results were published. The results from all 10 trenches have been published in news releases, and those are available either on our website or on CDAR. If we look at the location is very different to the other diamond mines and evaluation projects in Canada, which are shown on the map on slide 6. As opposed to those other projects, we are road accessible 365 days of the year. We are only 20 kilometers off paved highway, and we have access to the electrical power grid of Saskatchewan, also some 20 kilometers away. If we look at the local geography on slide 7, we see the red highways or paved highways surrounding the project. The kimberlites are marked in yellow with Star Narayan South that have been extensively evaluated in red, and they are within the Fort Alacorn forest, which is outlined in purple. That forest lies in a sea of farmland, and the only reason the forest exists in that is that the land was too infertile for agriculture. If we go on to look at the claim position, the mineral dispositions are held 100% by Star Diamond Corporation. On this map, the kimberlites are shown. There is an extensive field of kimberlites in the Fort Alacorn, and the southeasternmost two kimberlites, namely Star Narayan South, both very large bodies, have been extensively evaluated. In terms of the PEA, we have a general arrangement that looks like this that we see on slide 9, with 2 open pit diamond mines commencing with Orion South. And then moving on to Star. These kimberlites are buried underneath some 100 meters of glacial overburden, which is removed by bucket wheel excavator onto this brown overburden waste pile. The kimberlite that is recovered from the open pits is processed through a bulk sample plant, a processing plant shown in purple, and the processed kimberlite is then stored on the eastern side or the right-hand side of that photograph. The Saskatchewan River does not interfere with the pit on Star, and nor does the pit on Star interfere with the Saskatchewan River. In the past, we have, as I've already said, conducted extensive work, which included core drilling for the delineation and the definition of the internal structure of the kimberlite. There was extensive large diameter drilling across the kimberlites for grade determination, in other words, carats per 100 tons, how many diamonds are present. And as well, there was extensive bulk sampling, particularly on the Star kimberlite, to a lesser extent on the Orion South kimberlite. That information you can see on slide 11, which has been assembled into 2 maps, which show the yellow boxes of the large diameter drilling, the black dots of the core drilling, and the black spider webs of the underground development. Some 3 kilometers of tunnel were developed on Star. 75,000 tons of kimberlite were extracted, from which almost 11,000 carats of diamonds were recovered. The underground bulk sampling was then repeated on Orion South, but unfortunately that program was curtailed in 2008 due to the world, or in the first quarter of 2009 due to the world financial crisis. However, we note that from both kimberlites, the largest stone recovered in valuation was just shy of 50 carats, which again points to the opportunity in the future for the recovery of very large diamonds from these kimberlites. If we look at the diamond price, we see that Star has an average value per carat of $110 per carat, US dollars. Diamond prices are always quoted in US. Orion South is a little less. It may relate to the smaller sample of 169, combined weighted average of $190 a carat. And the value, this high diamond price, which is more than double the world average of 2019 of $98 a carat, is driven by, as we see on page 13, very high value stones. The most valuable stone recovered in the evaluation was the 11.96 carat stone in the middle of that picture at the bottom. The highest value stone from Orion South was 10.53 carat fancy yellow, as well as you can see there some internally flawless octahedra that are all important as highly valuable stones that we would see in future production. Type 2 diamonds are unusually rare in most kimberlites. However, in the Star kimberlite and also in the Orion South kimberlite, there is a surprisingly high and anomalous proportion of these unique stones, which can be the most perfect gin and tonic white. And of all the very large diamonds recovered in history, the largest being the 3,106 carat stone recovered from the Cullinan mine in 1905. These stones are type 2A stones that are free of nitrogen and can be the most perfect white color. If we move on to look at the economics in a little more detail, 66 million carats over a 38-year mine life, 470 million tons of kimberlite through the processing plant, $2 billion NPV, 19% IRR at a 7% discount rate, 1.4 billion pre-production capital cost or construction capex, payback period of 3.4 years, life of mine capex of 1.87 billion. In June of 2017, we entered into an option agreement with Rio Tinto. As part of that option agreement, the first option was to drill 10 trench cutter holes on the Star kimberlite to confirm the grades that we had recovered from the underground and our large diameter drilling. Rio embarked on a complex bulk sampling program using new technology derived from civil engineering applications, namely the trench cutter drill, which you see in the bottom left-hand picture there. This rig can drill a hole of 3.2 by 1.5 meters, so a rectangular hole that can go down to a depth of 250 meters below surface. This rig was successfully deployed on site. It took a while to get going, but once it was underway, it drilled the holes relatively quickly. Rio completed the 10 holes using the trench cutter rig, and they then were processed through a bulk sample plant last year, and all of that work was completed in 2020. A 150-person camp has also been established on site. If we move on to slide number 17, we see a picture on the right of the interior of the new processing plant through which these trench cutter samples were processed. Another picture of the drill. And then we can see some comparative results of the tons, carats, grade, stones and stones per ton recovered for the early Jolifeu kimberlite, which is the principal economic unit of the resource on the Star kimberlite. You can see that the highest grade is delivered from the underground, followed by the trench cutter, and then the LDD. We knew at the time of the LDD work that was carried out by Star that the difference between the underground and the LDD was a function of diamond breakage. This is still being confirmed by the work on the trench cutter diamond samples. We are also in litigation with Rio Tinto due to unusual expenditures that have been made on the project. You can see it laid out there. There are links at the bottom of this page to 4 news releases which discuss this information, and I advise you to read that up, and if there are any further questions, you are welcome to contact us. In terms of the management of the company, Ken McNeil has extensive experience with resource development, exploration and development in Saskatchewan. My background is originally starting in South Africa with De Beers, 37 years of international experience in diamond exploration. Greg Shylock is also from Saskatchewan. He has extensive experience in resource companies, is the financial officer, and the project manager, Mark Schimmel, a geology graduate from Imperial College London, and he has extensive experience as well, and a very good person to keep an eye on the technical aspects of the project. So in conclusion, there is a very large, long life mine, 66 million carats, and remembering that's just on the first 2 kimberlites of this massive kimberlite field. Outstanding geology, attractive economics, low risk jurisdiction, and fully permitted. I would just draw your attention to one other slide in the appendix of this report, which is on page 25, where we see the +11 DTC size class of the early Jolifeu from the Star underground. 2,600 stones weighing 1,600 or so carats, and a huge abundance of both type 2 and type 1 very high color goods and very low proportions of gray or bought diamonds. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, George. A couple of questions. One that caught my attention is the fancy yellow diamond recovered in the large fancy yellow diamond that was recovered in the sampling. Actually, and this is an interesting table for that. How common are fancy yellows in the population, and then and then what kind of difference does that make to the value of the overall package of diamonds, having those fancy yellows included?
There aren't abundant fancy yellows in the evaluation parcel. They are certainly present, but that's all that matters, because we must remember that even on Star, where we took out 75,000 tons, that's only about a day and a half of production that represents of a future mine where some 45,000 tons of kimberlite would be processed every day. So cumulatively, I would like to think that yellow will be reasonably well represented, and yellow diamonds are very popular. They are fancy colors, and they can be good economic drivers. But I would also highlight the presence of these type 2A goods, which can be both very big and of very high quality.
that is and that's part of the value driver, because that's what they teach you to buy when you're buying that engagement rig, is the Type 2A. So I bought mine. And then I guess obviously the big question, maybe set aside the litigation for a second, but is there a work plan for the project for 2021, or is that sort of pending the end of a wrap up of the ongoing litigation?
We are still awaiting instruction on the 2021 program, but certainly we believe that the best and the most efficient way forward for both companies is to have a business solution to this problem. And we would like to think that Rio Tinto would see the logic of that and proceed in that direction.
Right. Well, I wish you all the best in that endeavor. And with that, we are out of time. So thank you very much, George. And thank you everyone for joining us for the Star Diamonds presentation, and for joining us today. This is the last presentation of the day. I look forward to seeing you at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, where we start day 2 of our Pre-PDAC mining showcase. Thank you very much.